my name is Smithy. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we do things like truck videos, travel videos, and thing videos. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right on down below, and also hit the little bell right beside it, and you'll be notified anytime I drop a new video. This video today is if you own a 4th gen 4Runner or a 5th gen 4Runner. I went inside my dash and upgraded all the lights and also all the lights in my cab to LED. I know 5th gens still don't do it. I don't know why, if Toyota's being stingy about giving you some LEDs, but this video shows you how to do a swap on the LEDs for your dash for 4th gen, climate control LEDs, and also all your LEDs all around your vehicle for 4th gen or 5th gen for Toyota 4Runners. Go ahead and stick around. Let's get to it. All right, so everything you'll need for this job is right here on my hood. We'll start from left to right so I can tell you exactly what everything is. First up is a soldering arm with a little stand, the actual solder, Phillips head, flathead screwdriver, a 10mm. You don't need the extension like I have, but it makes it a little easier. Some tweezers, and then your actual LEDs that are going to go into your dash. Let's go over to the truck and I'll show you exactly what you have to do to get started. The tools you'll need in here are the Phillips head screwdriver and the 10mm. And that's your 10mm bolt right there beside your parking brake. On the opposite side over here, there is another hole for another 10mm socket. Take those 2 bolts out. All right, the next thing you'll want to do is you want to take your flathead screwdriver and get this little trim around your ignition off. Put it up in there and then pry it off, just like that. Then after that's off, what you want to do right here, put your finger in there and like pull out slightly. Don't pull too hard. It'll start releasing the tabs. You see those tabs around the ignition? There's 2 right there. Same thing on this side. Kind of put your hand up in here and then kind of like lightly pull. You might have to open the door and pull it down. The next thing you want to do is there's a trim around the dash. This whole piece will pop out. So you're going to grab it right up under here and then lightly pull out. Get your finger up in this groove right here and then pull. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put the steering wheel down to the lowest setting. So you're gonna tilt it. There's only 1 cord on this, and that's on this dimmer switch right here. And then you just wanna disconnect it. That's the push tab, just like everything else. All you gotta do is push that tab right there. All right, so now that you got that trim off, what you'll wanna do is there's 3 Phillips screws you got to take out. Take out that one. All right, so I'll point to them. This one, and then this one. Don't do this one yet, and don't do this one yet. So the next step is these 2 up here. This is actually your wiring harness. This is what it looks like on the back. This is what you were unscrewing right here. I just unplugged them so you can see. I kind of put pressure on this. I push back as I'm unscrewing. So as soon as it pops, it'll just pop out. Same thing with this side. And then after you do that, tilt it forward and then pull it up. And again, there's the 2 connectors that were on the top that you just unscrewed. All right, so the next thing you want to do, let's go ahead and plug in your soldering iron, let it get nice and hot. And while it's heating up, go ahead and take your LEDs out of the pack. I have these linked down below if you want to order these for yourself. Pretty inexpensive. I think it's like 10 bucks for 20 of them. And they come in this sweet little container. If you want to watch how to solder, this is not the channel because I am no expert in soldering. Please watch an expert. Yeah, but here's what they look like. Got my tweezers right here. Look how tiny that is. These in particular, there's a little notch, and that notch is the negative side. there'll be an arrow on the speedometer letting you know what way to face that notch in these particular bulbs. It doesn't work in every bulb. A lot of car makers have the same setup. You'll either have a twist in bulb and you pull it out, or you'll have a solder on. But yeah, let's go ahead and take it apart. All right, so here's the speedometer. The very first thing you want to do is take out these two screws right here in the center. You see these two baby screws right here? And then here's a tab here, a tab here, and then a clear tab here, a clear. So there's 6 in total. So there's 4 on the bottom and then 2 in the top. So once you take these 2 screws out, then the 6th tab, this clear piece will come right off. Set that aside. The next step is to just remove all the screws you see on the back. Once you get those screws removed, take your little screwdriver, put your tab in, and there's your cover. But yeah, set this aside. The next step, you're gonna take off these 2 screws right here, and then you'll pull this straight up and then unplug that. And then this just lifts right up. And then there's your 3-pin connector. All you do is grasp it firmly and pull it out. Don't pull too hard because you will disconnect these wires from this clip. And set that aside. The next step is just to flip back over. Then you're gonna wanna take this black trim off. And how you do that is the same with the clear cover. Black tab there, black tab there, black, 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 black. But there's your trim, put this aside. The next step, take off these needles. And how you do that is just slightly go under it and then rock it left to right, and it'll come up. So the fuel one has to go back on the fuel one. The temperature gauge has to go back on the temperature gauge, so on and so forth. Same thing with the miles per hour, and then same thing with the RPM. After you do that, you just slightly rock this back and forth, and then it'll come off. They make aftermarket ones of these. I think they're on eBay. You can have it all white with the gauges being black, or you can change out the needles. You can do so much to a lot of vehicles. It's pretty impressive. But just set this aside. The other thing, mine fell off, but typically yours won't fall off. You'll have your trip button right here. Pull it straight out. Now, this is where you got to be semi-careful. It is a little lenient, so you ain't got to worry about breaking something. But if you're careless, then you can break something very easily. The same thing with the clear and then the black trim. You're gonna, here's the little tabs holding this green piece in. This is the motherboard. Tab, 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 and tab. Take a lot of care around these 2 tabs because there's little pins. Those are all pins right there. And what I do is I take my flathead screwdriver, push the tab, and then I put the screwdriver under it and I kind of pry up real softly because you can crack this motherboard. See that? Just very slightly. And then I take the other screwdriver and leave it in there so it don't fall back in. And here's all the lights that you see on your dashboard, each individual light. But you can go ahead and set this aside. All right, the next thing, grab your gauge you took off earlier, and basically you can just lay this over it, and you can see exactly what light bulbs control what. So the LCD screen that shows your mileage will be these 3 right here. So you see that these 1 and 2, that lights up your RPMs. 1, 2, and 3, that lights up your speedometer. And then this 1 right here, that controls your gas gauge light, so you can see it. And then this controls your temperature gauge. These 4 right here, they are your indicators for what gear you're in. And then all you have to do is just whatever one you want to change out. I left all the standard ones, like seat belt is going to stay red, cruise control is going to stay green, parking brake red. I'm not changing out the warning indicators. I am changing out the backlighting to make it more modern. But yeah, I'm going to get to soldering. I'm not going to show you how to do that. All right, so one last thing, the negative's up because these LEDs are directional. So if you solder it on and it don't work, then that means you have them reversed. So flip them, solder back on, and then you're good. Let's get to it. Now just let the board cool down, just probably like 5-10 minutes. Put it all back together in reverse order. All right, so I wanted to show y'all an after. Here's what the orange used to look like, and here's the white. It looks really good.